With the Dokkan Battle Golden Week only being a few days away and the theme being heavily implied to be the 23rd Budokai, the Dragon Ball community seems to be split down the middle when it comes to the arc that concluded what some people consider the original Dragon Ball. On one side, you have people saying it's not hype at all, and that all the better battles are in Dragon Ball Z. On the other side, you have people calling it one of, if not the best fights in the entirety of Dragon Ball. And to be honest, the latter group is absolutely the correct one here. Hello everyone and welcome back to Lonk's Takes. Today I'm going to be covering the final battle of original Dragon Ball, the final round of the 23rd Budokai Tenkaichi, Son Goku versus Piccolo Jr. For those who haven't read the fight, or those who haven't watched it in a while, this will act as an overview of the fight so that you can hopefully be motivated to go back and watch it yourself. If you're familiar with the fight, then this might flesh out and put into words why this fight is just so absolutely fantastic. Many people have their own metric and measure for what makes a fight good, and there are admittedly no objective way to say when a fight is good or not good. However, I personally believe that good fights should have most, if not all, of the following criteria: stakes, character, dynamics, and presentation. What do these actually mean though? Stakes. Good fights will clearly outline what is at stake for either side of the conflict, and the consequences of winning and losing for both of these outside of the fight. These stakes can be personal or universal. Either way, it's almost impossible for a fight to be over nothing and be good. So oftentimes, if the stakes are multi-layered, they can even change during the fight and increase the tension even more. Character. This one is more obvious. For a fight to really work, we need to either before the fight or during the fight be able to understand both of the characters and who they are. These aspects can be anything from their personality to their backstory to their abilities. It's okay for a character to begin a fight mysterious and unknown, but in my opinion, by the end of the fight, we should know more about them. Dynamics. This is the general term referring to both the participants and what they do during the fight. Very rarely is a fight good when it is completely one-sided, or when it's two perfectly matched people just ramming their heads into each other until one of them passes out. Even when characters have similar powers, portraying how they use them differently and how they interact can be enough to create amazing fights. Finally, presentation. Ultimately, a fight can have all of the previous aspects, but if it is not generally entertaining, then no one cares. This is probably the most subjective of the four, but ironically, it might be the most important aspect to the casual viewer. I might not point out all of these aspects as we continue, but keep them in mind as we discuss Goku vs. Piccolo. Before we can do that though, we need to discuss what happens before the fight so we can truly understand it. The buildup of Goku vs. Piccolo begins the moment King Piccolo is defeated, as the last act of the villain is to spit out an egg of a successor and give it the mission of revenge against Goku. After reaching Kami's lookout, Goku learns that there is a whole realm of power he didn't even know existed once he meets Kami and Popo. They explain to him that an even more powerful version of King Piccolo is out there and that they will battle in 3 years, but Goku must become strong enough to defeat him. Somewhere far away, a newborn Piccolo already swears to put an end to peace itself. It is here when one of the most substantial time skips in Dragon Ball happens. 3 years pass, and Goku goes from a teenager or a kid to essentially being an adult over the course of a single chapter. What works so great here is that in a way, Goku is a bit of a stranger to even the audience now. We simply have no idea how he's changed or what he's capable of now. Slowly over the arc, we see how Goku has grown as a person and a fighter. By that same token, we slowly begin to learn about this new Piccolo as well. Despite looking the same as his father and still wanting the same goal of global domination, he's different. He could easily just attack everyone right now, but instead he participates in the tournament like everyone else does. He's craftier than his father, and perhaps more human as well. Everyone moves through the preliminaries, and one moment I absolutely love is how it portrays how each fighter defeats their opponent before the top 8. Good guys like Tien, Krillin, and Yamcha are shown being careful, but landing powerful strikes to show that a slight amount of exertion. They're strong, but not masters. Meanwhile, Goku and Piccolo are opposite extremes. Goku's entire body is still besides his arm, which even the readers can barely see as he hits his opponent for a single blow. This is the first hint that Goku is simply on a different level of control and mastery compared to the rest of his peers. Meanwhile, Piccolo is simply choking out his opponent. While he shows restraint, he has no qualms with cruel and brutal tactics. Soon we get to the top 8, and covering all these matches would be a bit of a waste of time for our main focus here, but Tien gets development for beating Tao, and Goku's growing maturity is shown with his marriage to Chi-Chi. The two fights that actually matter in this round are Piccolo vs. Krillin and Shen vs. Yamcha. In this fight, Piccolo at first has no respect for Krillin and talks mostly in the same cruel, dismissive way that his father did. However, Krillin puts up a way better fight than Piccolo expects, enough for him to acknowledge Krillin's name. Once again, it's showing that this new Piccolo, despite definitely being a bad guy, is not quite as committed to the act as his father is. The other important aspect we learn in this fight is that characters can fly now. Not quite in the same way they can just freely fly around in Dragon Ball Z, but it's more of a technique, like using the solar flare or the Kamehameha. While Shen, really Kami in disguise, versus Yamcha is treated mostly as a gag fight, it imbues a message for the reader to remember that becomes the prevailing theme of the entire Goku vs. Piccolo fight. Yamcha catches Shen off guard with the Spirit Ball and, in his celebration, gets caught off guard and beaten. Shen tells Yamcha, false confidence is the greatest enemy. Thus, the two fights before Goku and Piccolo's battle are Kami vs. Piccolo and Goku vs. Tien. Goku vs. Tien is a beautiful way to show how Goku has developed not just literally in strength and power, but in maturity and knowledge. By the end of their fight, Goku is literally teaching Tien about the weaknesses of his attacks while almost effortlessly defeating him. This is a long shot from their nearly tied match in the last Budokai tournament. There's a brief bit of foreshadowing here as well, as Tien notes he didn't even get a chance to fly during the battle. Keep that in mind. Meanwhile, Piccolo vs. Kami shows how once again, Piccolo is superior to his father. While Kami tries to Mafuba Piccolo, Piccolo reveals that he has been specifically training to not be defeated by the move that once beat his father, and thus counter-seals Kami before eating the sealed jar right in front of Goku and friends. The stage is now finally set. Goku not only has to defeat Piccolo, but do it in a way that doesn't kill Kami, further confounded by the fact that if Piccolo dies, so does Kami. With that insanely long intro out of the way, we can finally begin talking about the fight itself. When the two face off, this is essentially what we have. A stronger, more mature, and more experienced Goku than ever before, versus a stronger, more human, and more skilled version of King Piccolo. The fight begins, and simply put, it's Toriyama's dynamic hand-to-hand combat art at some of its best. Goku and Piccolo exchange a flurry of blows, but it is incredibly easy to follow the action between panels. Goku kicks Piccolo without even looking, senses his attack, leaps away, turns, reacts to Piccolo's arm extending, grabs it, and throws him into the air. He then jumps to land another blow, but Piccolo can fly, hitting Goku with a flurry of point-blank energy blasts that leave him lying face down in a crater. Goku is obviously faking, and they both agree to stop holding back and actually use their full power this time. This next exchange flawlessly shows how the level of combat is on a different level compared to what came before without really even having a character need to tell us it. Increasing speed lines, electrical surges in the background, and far more hits landing in the same number of pages. I particularly like when Piccolo catches Goku during his high-speed movement with an elbow, only for Goku to immediately counter with an equally hard kick. This is when the stakes in the battle are reinforced to the audience, as up to this point the battle has been almost casual and small scale enough to still not feel like the stakes are at all very high. And then boom, the moment Piccolo is pushed onto the back foot, his composure almost instantly melts, and he threatens to destroy the arena and kill everyone there. One thing I've yet to mention about this fight is that this battle is a template for so many of the fights that come after it. Just like in the battle against Cell, Goku jumps high into the air to stop his opponent from destroying the area that they're fighting in. Being barely grazed by the attack, it flies past the crowd and completely atomizes the mountains not so far in the distance. This battle just got serious. Immediately following this, Goku goes to use the Super Kamehameha, but is reminded he cannot kill Kami. Seeing that Goku is restricted, Piccolo prepares for an even more powerful version of the last attack he fired, not planning on missing like last time. At the last second though, Krillin lies to Goku, reminding him that they can bring back Kami with the Dragon Balls. With this, Goku launches his first Super Kamehameha, and the first aerial beam struggle in the series occurs, something that would happen again against the battle with Vegeta. Piccolo is overpowered, his body smoking while being enveloped by the strongest attack we've yet to see in the series. The crowd now realizes who Piccolo looks like, now that his turban has been blasted off, and they all immediately flee. While this seems like a win for Piccolo, as he's frightening all this crowd with his message of the Demon King's return, this was actually a massive help to Goku. With the crowd immediately fleeing, Goku is now free to use more of his power without being nervous of hurting someone. This is where the fantastic structure of the fight really hits its stride. Piccolo reveals his giant form, Goku still manages to have the upper hand and demonstrates further intelligence when he baits Piccolo into growing even larger. Once he does, he immediately launches himself inside of Piccolo's mouth. Getting spit out, Goku tosses the jar containing Kami to Tien, freeing the god. Once again, the stakes of the battle shift, with Kami for the most part being safe now, and Piccolo disincentivized from using one of his most powerful abilities. For every move and attack attempted in this battle, there is always a reason why it's never tried again, as for the most part, the opponent shows their ability to counter it. This constant one-upping constantly changes the momentum and the type of action within the fight. This battle picks up the pace again, with two of them clashing in the air, Goku slamming Piccolo with a first ever foot Kamehameha. However, just as Kami warned, Goku lowers his guard and is caught by surprise when Piccolo blasts him with an attack from his antenna. With Goku stunned, Piccolo rushes in to finish Goku off but is stopped by Kami. A new stake is then added to the battle as Goku reveals he still plans on fairly winning the Tenkaichi match. Now, not only does Goku want to win, he wants to win within the rules of the tournament. Thus, to keep it fair, he allows Piccolo to punch him for free. In spite of all this, Goku is still wholly confident in his ability to beat Piccolo, claiming to have seen through all of Piccolo's attacks. Enraged by this, Piccolo fires a new attack, a homing move that was actually copied from Krillin earlier in the tournament because it was very effective against him. Very much akin to Goku vs Frieza, Goku expertly dodges before causing the attack to hit Piccolo. Now, if someone knows anything from this fight, it's probably this moment when the injured Piccolo tears off his injured arm to regrow a new run. It's brutal, and for the most part, a total surprise. Truly pushed to his limits, Piccolo begins to charge his most powerful attack. Goku, in a panic, tells even his strong allies like Tien to run. Without time to get away himself, Goku opts to take the attack point blank. While Roshi had technically destroyed the moon, the nuclear explosion caused by this attack really does feel like the greatest scale we'd seen in the series up to this point, and in spite of that, Goku is still standing. Confident now that Piccolo is out of power, Goku proceeds to land one of the nastiest beatdowns in the entire series, finishing it with the greatest gut punch in the entire franchise. Still not done, however, Goku leaps into the air and buries Piccolo into the ground with a Kamehameha. With Piccolo defeated, Goku asks the ref to start the countdown. Everyone begins to celebrate as the countdown, but right at 9, Piccolo sits up and blasts Goku directly through the chest. Once again, Kami's words coming back to haunt Goku, writhing in agony as a fatigued Piccolo begins to simply brutalize him with the strength he has left. Piccolo remembers how Goku defeated his father with only one arm, and makes extra certain this time to break every single one of Goku's limbs so he is incapable of moving. Leaping into the air, Piccolo fires one last final attack that completely eradicates Goku's body, with nothing left but a crater. Piccolo begins to celebrate, having successfully enacted his revenge. Now no one can stop him. But the Z-Fighters all begin to get excited, as a small speck appears in the sky behind Piccolo. It's Goku using the flying technique, something he had been saving the entire battle. With Kami's words once again feeling very relevant, Goku lands a flying headbutt into Piccolo's body and sends him careening away from the remains of the arena. Technically falling out of bounds, the ref announces that Goku has won the 23rd Budokai Tenkaichi. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. This was a doozy of a script summarizing essentially this entire arc, so if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like, comment what arc you'd like to see me summarize, talk about, review next, and of course subscribe. It lets me know to make more stuff like this in the future. See ya!